Welcome to Pegwarmers. I'm Kevin.
I'm Penelope.
I'm Justin.
And we're here to talk about toys. Welcome back, guys.
Hey.
I feel like we were just here.
Here we are
Farpoint in
again.
the house.
in the hizzy.
Kev, thank you for having us on again. We really love being on the show. I can't say that enough.
It's awesome. I love having you guys on here.
Yeah, a lot of great positive, comments and people enjoying this whole thing. So not just for us, across the board on the channel. It's congratulations.
I really appreciate it. But yeah, it's the fan base has been awesome.
Yeah,
Incredibly watchable content is what I would call it.
Yeah.
totally digestible. It's digestible content.
Unless we come on and talk about crazy, obscure things.
I would not call anything we've done obscure. What did we talk about? We talked about
Off the beaten path.
Well, I don't know how what order these get released sometimes.
Yeah.
So
Are they chronological?
we've come on and talked about things like books, like,
And big wheels. That's obscure.
Some of my favorite things that we do on this channel is the fact that you think it's an action figure channel. It's definitely geared towards that, but we'll do like big wheels and color forms and just weird stuff like that that's totally tied in.
Yep.
But stands alone as its own category.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be all action figure all the time.
Right. No.
You know, we're all collectors of all kinds of stuff. And honestly, sometimes it's the weird stuff that gets me personally the most excited.
I'm more excited by weird stuff than I am by the regular stuff at this point.
I see Star Wars action figures every day, but when like a weird cup and what's it called?
Placemat
come in that I've never seen before.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, those placemats are amazing. I never thought I'd be saying that.
Or a weird bowl and spoon set.
Right.
Like, it's the weird stuff that excites us now.
No, I totally get
to that level. Like, we need more to get high.
Not that I don't get excited when I see a carded Boba Fett. I mean, everybody does.
Well, that's a different level of
I
excitement.
never met a carded Boba Fett I didn't like. But,
So for our news segment, we're going to talk about the Nacelle Company again.
Yes.
oh.
Our friends at Nacelle.
Yeah, they come up on the channel a lot, but they're so niche made. Like that whole company is just all of the same
They're
wheelhouse
steeped
here.
in it.
Yes.
And they're doing so many things now. They're all
sure.
over the place, which is fantastic.
So the news that we're focusing on today is the fact that their first wave of RoboForce figures have been released.
So cool.
Yeah.
Right?
And I want to stress, yes, there are suction cups.
They actually had to make a press release because people were like, those aren't really RoboForce. RoboForce has suction cups.
There's not one but two suction cups.
Vocalize had to be like, these things have suction cups, my friend.
Yes.
So RoboForce Wave 1, it comes with Max Steel, the main character, and Wrecker. They are very modernized. They don't look like a trash can with bendy arms like the original ones.
They look like Daleks originally, kind of. No, these are completely updated action figures.
They're
this
really
time.
And David Bonner, right from Pleasantville, New Jersey, has been working on the line as the head designer, and they're awesome. They just look really cool.
Yeah, I mean they're really, they look like they're supposed to tie in with, if you're like a 6-inch collector and you want like space guys to go along with your Marvel Legends or I think they'll fit right in with a collection if you're using your imagination.
They almost look like the random throwaway issue like robot from a G.I. Joe #2 or whatever.
Totally.
Here's this wacky robot that Cobra set loose.
You could totally put these in with your G.I. Joe classifieds and have them as like Cobra bots and stuff like that. I mean, Max Steel is so impressive looking, and he has like these big appendages coming off of his back, like the original toy line. For the three of you that remember it, because I actually used to call the toy line Max Steel.
Okay,
I forgot it was even RoboForce back then,
Wow.
but it wasn't ubiquitous. Not to use it's too big of a word. I probably used it wrong anyway. But it wasn't like like Star Wars.
Yeah,
or
it wasn't.
He-Man.
And they
well
marketed Max because like they made the jumbo version of him and things like that. Like he was the most memorable part of it.
Yeah.
In the sense that He-Man is the most memorable part of it, but it definitely, that name kind of stuck because there's a whole nother toy line that uses that name.
Yeah.
That
It's funny.
just lodges in your brain more.
Because He-Man isn't called He-Man, but a lot of people call it He-Man.
Right.
And the Masters of the Universe.
I think same with Max Steel.
Yeah.
And RoboForce. So they're exciting. I mean, the molds are amazing, and there's definitely more to be announced, I believe. So it's exciting. It's just like Super 7's doing. They're going after the nostalgia of the 80s toys, right? Reinventing 80s toys.
Yeah.
It is a complete reinvention. And they look amazing. They look really cool on a shelf. I'm excited to get one in my hands.
It's so funny because RoboForce originally was like a toy line out of time. It was very 50s robots coming out in the 80s, and now they're taking that 80s toy and updating it to modern time.
Totally.
It's finally catching up
Yes.
in design to what,
Very
what is the
cool.
modern aesthetic.
I think a lot more people would have played with it in the 80s if it resembled what it is now.
Yeah.
You know? I think a lot of dads were like, well, those are really cool robots. You want one of these, Johnny?
Yeah.
And Johnny was like, oh,
What?
man, this
Sure.
is like I don't like Doctor Who.
Could I have Luke Skywalker instead?
Little bendy arms on him.
Like Robbie the robot.
But we're excited. They have a lot of stuff going on, so
Yeah.
Nacelle is just going to keep
Nacelle is-
popping up. Between
Nacelle is
Nacelle and Super
awesome.
7.
Yeah. Now it's cool that there's so much of that adult collector, 80s nerd
Yeah.
content and marketing going on. with
It's
all
a
this
it's a
stuff.
golden age again.
Yeah.
It
It's
is.
a good time to be alive, to be a nerdy collector.
It's
Absolutely.
the resurgence, the renaissance.
The next segment is new to the collection.
Right.
I'm very excited to talk about G.I. Joe Classified.
What?
Kevin, we talked
yeah.
about
We had an
we were
agreement.
gonna try and do an
right.
episode and not talk about G.I. Joe
Okay.
G.I. Joe.
All right, so
for one episode.
Just one.
So I've got from the depths of the collection. Then
one.
All right.
I have dug some stuff out of a closet, some things that I kind of forgot existed. These are some board games actually that I own that are toy related.
This is very cool. I would love to do a whole episode about board games. We should.
I think that would actually be a good episode.
Yeah.
Let us know in the comments down below if you would like something like this. So the first one I have is Jedi Unleashed.
Sounds like a puzzle.
Oh, there's like a million parts in here.
I could tell.
Hayden Christensen looks so into it on the
He's like-
cover.
He's like biting his lip a little bit.
He is
Like,
like-
Yeah.
he's really into. What
Is that
he's
why
doing
Padme
there.
fell for him? Because of that
Maybe.
lip bite thing?
there is
Looks
just
like they're in the arena. They're in the Geonosian
Geonosian
arena.
arena.
there's
yeah.
1,000 little like Geonosian and battle droid
Yikes.
Wow.
figures to put on
All right,
stands.
Cool.
And if you're lucky, you get to ride the Reek.
Oh well, that's what they used to
Trample
call me in
people.
high school.
There's a joke here about riding the Reek I'm not going to make. Yeah, it's fine. Oh, look.
The next one I have, this one is a classic, man.
Oh, that came with the figures.
Those are the
yes,
figures.
Yeah.
Force 2.
Do you still have the figures in there?
They're in here, yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Escape the Death Star action figure game.
So there was a Escape the Death
Yeah,
Star.
there was a vintage
Kenner
version.
Yes.
old version.
Yep.
This is the updated.
So the old one is very like standard board game.
Yeah, it didn't come with action figures.
This one, so you get cardboard cutouts to use.
I like that they're
yes.
big.
You know what this is going to
That's
remind me
cool.
of? I can't talk about it.
Why is Boba Fett there?
Yeah, you can't
Well,
talk
it's
about
Boba
It's
it.
just
Fett.
popular. Yeah.
can't
I
talk
want to
about
talk
it.
about a game that this reminds me of, but
From
that is the
a
toy line
banned
that
toy
shall not be
line.
named.
I know that
right
game.
now.
It's one of my favorite games. We will talk about someday.
I love it. I love it.
There's your
Yep.
trash
Your
compactor
trash
Luke,
Luke.
Yep.
and Vader. Somewhere his helmet's in here. So
So
these
they
guys,
came on in a bubble on
yeah,
a card.
in this little window here.
Yes. Yep.
And then you also got somewhere in here. There's some weapons too.
So can they stand on the stands and actually be moved as as
Yes.
pieces? Okay,
That's awesome.
That reminds me of another game.
Yes.
From the 80s
that we can't talk
that
about.
we can't talk about right now.
I love that game though.
Me too.
Is that the one where the board is like 6 feet by 6 feet?
It's
Like real
gigantic.
It's huge.
big? Yeah.
So
I love the trash Luke.
I was always disappointed he didn't come with the helmet though.
Yeah.
I mean, he still would have like the dirt specks on him.
Yeah.
But if you have a Luke, you
Why
want to be
not
able to
with the
pretend he's a
helmet?
stormtrooper
Yeah.
also.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's really cool.
they had the helmet molded already.
Yes.
They've already done the figure.
It would have cost
Yeah.
10 cents to throw that in there.
Yeah.
The only thing
Yeah.
that's new is it was a new head sculpt
Yep.
to make his hair slicked back.
Yep.
Which I really like that.
The Vader,
The arm is bent sideways a little bit, I think.
he's got like different art. Yeah, he's got a different arm, and then they made him with the
removable head.
Removable.
partially removable helmet, which is very Empire,
Yeah.
despite the game being.
Yeah.
Despite
I don't-
escaping from the
yes,
Death
it was-
Star.
Yep.
Oh, look at this. There's some unpunched.
Look at you. Look at
Is there
the
two
unpunched.
sets of these guys?
It looks like it because there's Chewie. It looks
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, some of them are here unpunched.
oh,
So why Boba
not two
Fett?
sets, no.
Correct me if I'm wrong here, folks. But Boba Fett, Death Star, is that what?
he's been there.
I mean, I'm sure he's been there.
I think
You
they
know,
just included him in
you're
the
just-
game to.
You know, he's just
You know
hanging
why they
out.
include him in the game?
Because he's Boba Fett.
Because he's Boba Fett.
Yeah, he's
There
Boba
you go.
Fett.
The weapons.
Up until this last series, he's been one of the most popular characters in
Neat.
Star Wars ever.
Got all extra blasters and stuff. I don't think I ever played this game. I did own it. Clearly, I owned
Right.
it, but I had it. I had it when it was new, and I think I just took the figures out of it and just
We should do a live playthrough one day.
maybe we should do that.
Yeah, that would be
That would
interesting.
be good.
Yeah.
All right, so that's the
Congratulations.
Escape the Death Star action figure.
That's a hell of a piece,
Yes.
Kevin.
Rescuing it from the depths
So
of the collection.
the reason we know about the figures from that is we've bought collections of Star Wars, and the bubble we've gotten toy collections
Oh,
with
okay.
just
still on the
figures on the card thing that comes with.
Yeah.
And
Gotcha.
I remember being like,
What did this come
It's
from?
What is-
so
there's no-
weird.
there's
There's
no
no
SKU?
card.
What is this?
Yeah.
turns out
It just sticks inside
Yeah.
the box.
from that game.
I have an Anakin from episode 3 that's on a little bubble, and I forget what that came with. But maybe like a figure case or something.
Right.
Yeah, you get those weird things.
Yeah.
The next one I've got is the Batman game.
That's a good one. I have that one.
Wow.
That's a good game.
I always think it's funny with games like this, and it happens with Star Wars games and stuff too sometimes, where everybody wants to be Batman, obviously.
Of course.
So you just get like the red Batman and the blue Batman.
Well, that's the Batman. Is that
purple Batman.
Is that Robert Pattinson?
It's not the Batman
It says
game.
the Batman.
The Batman
Well, no,
game.
it's not the Batman game. It's the Batman game.
Not the Batman game.
It's not the Batman game. It's the Batman game.
Because if it was the Batman game,
Then it would be Robert Pattinson.
it would be Robert Pattinson.
Yeah.
So instead of
Interesting.
giving you like a blue, a black, and a gray Batman that are all appropriate colors, we have purple, white, yellow, red, and blue.
Well, everybody wants
course.
blue.
everybody
yeah.
does,
obviously.
right?
Well, red's pretty cool. Red's
Oh, there is a
evil.
black one. Okay,
Oh,
Oh, well,
he's
that's
missing
the,
he's got one,
Yeah.
that's
one
the
ear
Frank
broken.
Miller right
I was gonna
there.
say, like, why even?
Directions: Go to Gotham Memorial Cemetery.
And do what? Cry
Spooky.
over your dead parents?
Batmobile: Move double on the spinner.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, it's a Batmobile.
Utility belt: Go through tunnel.
What?
What are you digging through the tunnel with
Holy
your belt?
tunnels, Batman. What year is this? Oh, let me see that board.
1989.
Yeah, I was gonna
All
say
right.
it's.
Oh, so this coincided
yeah,
maybe with the movie.
but it's not.
It's
Has
not
nothing to do-
necessarily
But
it's
a movie
not
tie-in. Yeah.
Keaton.
No,
There was a ton of Batman merchandise in '89 that was just based on the comic.
We should try spinning, Dustin.
Yeah,
It's a
it
neat
was
trick.
there was a whole resurgence of Batman because of
Right, because the movie was coming
Yeah.
out, people were hyped about it. It was made by University Games.
So not your
Very
Milton
interesting.
Bradley.
I think
not
I've played
your-
this once.
You don't have that in your collection, do you?
I think I might. I know we've had it before, but I went through a period of time where I was like, I'm not going to get any. I don't want any more board games. I've nowhere to put them.
It's funny you're bringing up board games because we've started a thing on the channel
Okay.
where we're doing board game.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Because I have this massive collection of board games, and I've never played most of them. Where every week we're playing one game from
That's
my
cool.
collection.
Yeah, if you collect this kind of stuff, the games go along with it. You end up buying them, but because you're not a kid anymore, you never really sit down and try out the game.
Well, I want
Yeah.
to tell
That's
something.
great.
There's a reason that you don't play board games.
They're not fun.
They're not good. Most of them.
There's modern board games are probably way more fun.
Yeah.
Older board games, it's all.
It
We
was-
played Indiana Jones last night.
Raiders
Okay.
of the Lost Ark.
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Which is a famous because the cover art looks nothing like Indiana Jones, but it's done by Jim Stranko.
Okay.
Yeah, but it looks nothing like him.
So it's just roll a die, pick up a card, move your piece. Typical
Yeah.
every board game. It doesn't really feel like the movie at all.
I mean,
it
they
doesn't feel like
tried.
Indiana Jones.
There is like a map, and you're going around the map. They tried, but
Modern board games are a whole completely different animal.
Yeah.
But vintage board, oh my god. So by the end of it, we're just like,
well, they're just
can we
trying.
just give my cards to somebody else so they can win?
Yeah, they're just trying to pump out as much merchandise as possible to make money.
And the target audience is the kid.
Yeah.
And so you can't make the game mechanics too complicated,
No.
or they can't.
Although that game was pretty complicated, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the first half hour of the stream was just reading the instructions.
You know,
The thing about board games is just jump in.
Yeah.
You know, breeze through the instructions and jump in and reference the
It's
instructions.
okay to play the game wrong the first time.
Yeah.
Honestly.
well,
time.
if you're only ever going to play it once, you try to do your best.
Tried it. Yeah, I get that part of it.
Especially when the
Yeah, because
internet's
it's
watching.
a playthrough and then kind of a review.
Yeah. What went wrong?
yeah.
Everything. What
And the
went right?
fourth game I brought with me is still sealed.
That
Is that
so
the
cool.
one to have?
This is the Star Wars
Collector's
Monopoly
Edition.
Collector's Edition.
So there's a few Star Wars Monopolies.
there are.
There's the
I believe-
trilogy edition.
I believe that one or the trilogy
There's
edition.
Saga.
There's one that's more sought after.
Okay.
It might be this one.
I forget which one it is.
My aunt and uncle sent this to me for Christmas when I was probably in
and
middle
you
school.
had no fun playing it at all.
and
No
I
interest.
It's still sealed.
It's sealed.
was like, well, this is going to be worth money, so I need to leave it sealed.
It might be. I think that might be the good one.
Watch your microphone.
I was tempted at one point to open it up and paint the little miniatures because they're kind of the
It does
coolest
come
part
with
of it.
minis. Yeah.
the
Your
little
playing
pewter minis,
pieces
yeah.
are
Yeah,
little
the little
pewter
playing
pieces.
guys.
I want to tell you something, and no offense to anybody watching. Monopoly
Oh no.
is not a fun game.
Depends how you play it.
A lot
It's
of
a
games aren't
brutal-
fun, actually. Now that I'm thinking about
Capitalism,
it.
the game.
Yeah, Atlantic City, New Jersey, the
Yeah,
game.
well, maybe it's because we're from
So
Atlantic City.
there's so much history to that game though. Like it was originally called the Landlord's Game, and it was to try and teach a little bit about economics. Like it floated around a bunch of different colleges. People were hand making copies of it. It kept slowly changing and and modifying. Originally, Atlantic City had nothing to do with the game.
Yeah.
It just kind of got popular there. People
just
started making their own games.
They just wanted to include some sort of
relevant, cool, hip.
grift.
Yeah.
Bad element. So they're like, Atlantic City sounds great. Let's go to.
At the time, Atlantic City was a cool place where like there were steel diving horses and like exciting like flapper girls and things.
And
like gangster stuff.
Yeah.
It was.
So I remember looking at this. Dagobah is the low rent district. That makes sense.
Okay.
And then your boardwalk is Coruscant.
Wow. Oh, so they were referencing Coruscant.
Yeah.
Is this prequels? Nah, probably not.
No.
Probably not.
Is it the entire saga or is it just original trilogy?
It's just original trilogy
That's
stuff,
cool.
I believe. It's weird though, because like Endor is on the same strip as Coruscant.
No.
So
I mean, no.
Endor's not high real estate.
No, and you gotta do so much
Maybe it
work.
is.
You
Maybe
gotta
after
clear
the
a lot of
Empire
land
left.
to be able to even build there.
I
It's
could
very
see Cloud
woodsy.
City being
Very woodsy.
high-end real estate.
Yeah, maybe it would be. I don't know about Bespin. Bespin's a glass giant, I think.
Yeah.
And Cloud City is where they're up. But I think Endor might be like the national parks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So it's very pristine,
maybe it's
untouched wilderness.
Resource, a lot of natural
Are they
resources.
strip mining Endor?
So it's worth money,
That
but
could be.
they're not living there.
But I mean, like the Ewok Village. What do you think the rent value is for the Ewok Village? I mean, those accommodations are not great.
Seems more like a vacation getaway.
Yeah.
Like zip lines.
Campsite.
Yes.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really think it's like the national parks. And you're right. They're probably selling the rights to strip mine.
Yes,
there
they're
and
strip
stuff.
mining the moon. The forest moon of Endor is being strip mined.
So they do have Hoth right after Dagobah is like poor real estate. And that
All right,
makes sense.
that makes a lot
Where
of
would
sense.
you rather live? Hoth or Dagobah?
That's tough.
It
Am I
is.
making my own like house or is it already built?
You just drop down.
Hoth, because there's going to be heat. Hopefully, like I'd have heat in my house, right?
Well, you got the Rebel base, I guess. I guess you either have Yoda's hut or the Rebel base.
The Rebel base,
Or the
Hoth.
Wampa Cave.
No, I'm not going to live in a cave in the middle of snow. No.
So I hate heat,
Yeah.
but I think Hoth would be harder to survive.
Is
in.
Dagobah actually hot?
Well, it's definitely
probably a
warm.
steamy
It's just
jungle.
swampy.
Yeah, it's a swampy,
Is it
steamy-
hot?
yeah,
Because
it's-
he's wearing like robes.
He's sweating a lot.
Is he?
No, Luke is sweating a lot.
Okay.
But Luke is also working out.
Yeah.
No, I don't listen. Do Yodas sweat? What is Yoda?
Do Yodas
We don't know what
sweat?
his race is. I
Yeah,
think.
so we don't know what his race is. Do Grogu's
Yodas
sweat?
sweat?
Because he might be hot. We don't know. He might. You know how dogs pant?
Oh yeah, he might.
Yoda might be just his ears might
Oh
be
my
twitching,
gosh,
and
maybe
that's how
he
radiates
speaks
heat.
like that because he has heat stroke.
Yes.
We're just all over
Hot
the
it
place.
is.
We're all over the place today.
Yoda, you okay? You need
Steam's coming out of his ears.
fan. I need.
I love it. All right, this was totally worth bringing these in because
That's awesome.
That was all
Good
unplanned.
combo. Yes.
I love it.
Not
I
that
love
any
it.
of this is ever planned.
No, it's well, kind of like we brought
pick a
all
topic.
this stuff.
Yeah.
And the topic today is Willow.
Yeah, because I have a massive Willow collection of random stuff, and I love talking about.
I think we.
Did you bump my chair so I would say we instead of me?
Yes.
We have a massive Willow collection of all kinds of weird stuff. And I just love talking about weird stuff on the show. Like, we could sit here and talk about the property that shall not be named all day.
right.
But I like mixing it up so that your viewers have like some weird stuff to look
I
at.
think that we want to talk about Willow because they're actually filming a new Willow TV.
They are
series.
dropping a new show,
And
which
it's a
I'm really excited
perfect-
about.
It's a perfect brand to do a TV show because things like Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings have all this lore, but have also been really written out and have gotten
Yeah, I'm
agree.
hoping
like
there's no
expansive
Game of
series.
Thrones action with Warwick Davis.
Well, correct, yeah. But I mean, it's a great fantasy brand that there's a lot of world that could be explored.
Yes.
And this doesn't have, 15 books or already a very extensive movie series.
There were 3 books. There was
Okay.
a sequel and like a sequel to the sequel. There's at least 3 books that I know of. I've never read them.
Okay.
I'm fine with just what I see on screen. That's really all I need to see.
there's a great basis for world building.
Yeah, but
Yes.
there's a totally great, amazing. I'm looking forward to the show.
Who's doing the show?
Disney?
Well, that makes sense because Lucasfilm probably still owned
Yeah.
it, and they bought it with Lucasfilm.
Yeah, I would assume so.
Yeah, I'm
That
not
makes sense.
sure. I know obviously Warwick Davis is coming
We're-
back.
Assuming, but that seems like the right.
Fact check us. Put it in the comments if we're wrong.
I'm pretty sure. I'm 99% sure it's Disney.
Somebody will let us know we're wrong.
It's got to be Disney. It's Lucasfilm.
So, Willow toy line. All right, we have to scroll back in the.
Yeah, let's scroll back. What do you want to say in the Wayback Machine?
I want to talk about Lucasfilm and the previous toy rights they had released.
So some of you watching at home may know Lucasfilm had a little movie called Star Wars that kind of went crazy and basically invented how we merchandise toys.
Correct.
From movies. I don't know what happened with this toy line. Kenner obviously did not get the licensing rights. Tonka did, which makes almost no sense.
I think.
Please. Because I Googled this. I tried to look into this, and I could not. Someone somewhere knows, but I don't know who knows why Tonka got this.
What year was Willow?
88.
Okay.
So Kenner had already had its huge run with Star Wars, right? It was the line was taking a rest. But when George Lucas originally signed that deal with Kenner for Star Wars, it was for like $10,000 a year. That's all they had to pay him, and they got to keep everything else.
Yep.
It was some kind of crazy deal because nobody expected the toys to make billions more than the movies, right?
It was absolutely ridiculous.
Which they did.
Yeah.
And still do.
To this day.
I think maybe Lucasfilm wanted to shy away from Kenner after having made them so much money. And I don't know why Tonka. That makes no sense to me.
Tonka was a weird choice. Because if you're not familiar with this toy line, they are not articulated. They're 2 to 3 inches tall. They are solid figures that do not move at all.
They're terrible.
They're plastic army men.
On hard metal bases. They're basically just blown up like D&D miniatures.
Yeah.
Which is really cool in and of itself. And you could certainly use them for some game that doesn't exist.
They certainly feel a lot like the LJN D&D like PVCs.
Kind of.
Very similar. They're better quality. The paint is way better.
Yeah.
I feel like the PVCs are more playable than these are, though. They're more, to borrow a term from Kenner, they're more toyetic.
Yeah.
The PVC Dungeons & Dragons have a toy-like quality where these don't. These almost have like a
stationary.
Like you're playing chess with them or something.
They would be great pieces for a board game.
But learning what they learned with the Star Wars property and making action figures, and of course they thought Willow toys. You never think that, these toys we're going to make toys that bomb. You want the toys to do as best they can.
Yeah.
Why didn't they make actual action figures?
I do not have any
Tonka
clue.
just didn't have the
ability,
engineering background. Like they made toy trucks, and so to
but
do the action
and metal
figures.
stuff.
Maybe we'll talk about it someday. Tonka did a series called Steel Monsters,
which were articulated
Star Wars style articulated action figures.
Now, what year are they from?
80.
You're on the spot.
I'm on the spot, man. We'll have to research it for that episode.
Similar time frame, though, maybe.
Yeah. I think it's actually before this. To be honest, I think it's mid 80s, 84.
Yeah,
85.
these figures don't.
That's so interesting.
These figures don't make a lot of sense, but that doesn't stop me from loving them. I loved the movie as a kid. In '88, I was 9, so I was like the perfect age. Was I 9? Can I do math in my head? Yeah. I was 9 years old in 1988.
I'll be honest, I had a couple of the Willow figures as a kid.
I did not have any of them as a kid, but I loved the movie because even as a kid, I was all about sword and sorcery, fantasy movies and stuff. And to be honest, Willow's almost like Lord of the Rings ripoff. It's the story of this little person who's going on a big adventure to save the world. So it's very Lord of the Rings-esque.
He's saving a baby.
Justin, have you seen Willow? He's saving the entire world by saving the baby.
I usually fall asleep halfway through.
So I'll give you like a quick recap. The premise of the movie is that there's an evil queen, which I appreciate, that the bad guy is a woman. I appreciate that. You knew that, yes.
She looks very much like...
She's fantastic.
Like Evil Lynn, or even like the
wonderful.
queen from Snow White. She has that kind of.
She has the
to
very
her.
Wicked Apple vibe. Yeah, totally. She's the evil queen, and there's a prophecy that a baby girl child will be born and grow up to defeat her. So she has decided that all pregnant women in the village world area need to be brought to her, and they have to make sure that their babies are not the baby because the baby has a special mark on it somewhere. So this is where our movie starts. The baby is born and the baby is rescued.
This is Pegwarmers, not Hack the Movie.
Yeah, I understand. So, but anyway.
We should do an episode that coincide.
We should coincide. So she's him saving the baby. She grows up presumably to save the world and save everybody.
Okay.
So he's saving the world, and just the baby is the world in this movie.
But I don't know. I don't know if he knew that.
He eventually finds it out,
right?
Because the Galadriel character is in the woods and comes to him and
Yeah.
says, "Save the world, save the baby, it'll be
But
great."
originally, he just like finds a baby in the
Well,
water.
yeah, and then they realize that they have to give the baby back
Look,
to
a
the
baby.
humans.
There's a
Save the
baby in
world,
the
save the
water.
cheerleader.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So she's a human baby. So the town decides that this is dangerous for them to have a human baby, and he goes on this quest to return the baby.
Right.
And in the process, finds out that she's more important than he knows.
Because the town is all little people.
yes.
Yes.
And he's the whole deal with the
Do
movie
they
is
have a name for them? Is there
they're Nelwins.
Nelwins?
Yeah,
okay.
they're called the
Peck
Nelwins.
is not. Peck.
That is a derogatory term we do not use. The P word. We don't use the P word.
It's in the movie all over the place.
We don't use the P word. No.
Peck.
No, stop.
Peck.
Val Kilmer's in this movie, and he's absolutely amazing. There's an action figure of him here somewhere.
We both agree on this. When I first saw the movie, his name is Mad Mardigan.
Yeah.
I always thought his name was Mad.
Like Mad Eye
Yes.
Mooney.
Mardigan.
Yeah.
No.
It's not. It's Mad Mardigan.
Yeah.
That's his
It's like
full
it's
name.
like his name was like Carl Mad Mardigan. I
Yeah.
always thought it was Mad Mardigan.
Like Mad was his
No,
adjective.
it's like
I think-
McDonald. It's Mad Mardigan.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
I learned that later
Yeah.
in life.
Yeah, no, as a kid, I thought for sure that it was just like
He's
the
Mad
Mad Hatter.
Mardigan.
He's
Yes,
crazy. Yes,
exactly.
He's insane.
So,
and he kind of is
Oh, yeah.
insane. Like it
He's
totally
wonderful.
seems like it should
Val
be.
Kilmer's fantastic in general, but in this movie especially, he's great. As a kid, I love this movie. So as an adult, especially getting into toys and collecting, even though the line is kind of iffy and weird, I realized I really wanted to collect it. And I don't normally do carded,
Okay.
but a collection of carded stuff came into the store, and how could I pass it up
And
at
it's
that
also,
point?
for the most part, an inexpensive line to collect still.
Well, they
It-
were Pegwarmers.
They,
No doubt
they
about
were
it.
absolutely Pegwarmers.
The epitome of Pegwarmers.
So the toy line did $7 million gross total during its original run.
Okay.
They nixed, there was supposed to be a castle play set. There was going to be a second line of figures. They did Sears exclusives that I just found out today ended up being released not just at Sears. I thought there were limited numbers, but Sears didn't just get all of them. Other places did get them.
Did
like
the movie bomb?
it did 137 million, I think. Let me read that
what was
again.
spent on it?
For 35 million.
Oh, so that's not a bomb.
So it didn't bomb, but
Yeah.
it didn't do
wasn't
as
Star Wars. It wasn't
amazingly as they wanted it to.
That's George
Yeah.
Lucas's biggest problem for the rest of his
Yes,
career. Is
not
nothing
Star
would ever be
Wars.
Star Wars
Well,
again.
Yeah,
Ron
well-
Howard did the directing.
what was a success? Yeah, but he produced it. It was Lucasfilm.
Yeah.
What was a success to any other movie maker?
Yes.
Everything was a bomb after A New Hope.
Yeah.
Right. Well, no, after Jedi.
Yeah.
Because it just got bigger and bigger. But
So the toy line was a bunch of single carded figures, which again, they have no articulation. They do nothing. They have a base that they really can't be removed from without breaking their foot pegs. So they're just single
Yeah,
stand
if
in
you're
there.
real careful, like I used to take Willow off his base a lot as a kid, but they can't stand once you take them off because they have
No.
like pegs on their
Weird
Yeah.
feet.
Right.
They're very weird.
they're terrible toys.
Yeah.
They also did some of the same characters in different sculpts mounted on horses.
Okay.
So now we have some horses in play. The horses are also not articulated, and some of them are rearing, and unless they have their stands, they can't stand up.
It's interesting because there are toy lines. Like there's British soldiers that are very popular.
yeah.
And that's basically what they did, but I didn't know anybody as a kid that really played with those kinds of toys.
I
They
want
were
to
like
be in the room for the pitch for this.
Yeah, I did not know anyone that had these toys when
Hello,
I was
Mr.
a kid.
Lucas. I'm Tom Tonka, and I think that we should do little metal figures that no one wants to play with.
Yeah,
it's
it's unfortunate.
It's bizarre because Star Wars proved like
Totally.
what works.
Yep.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't they replicate that?
So
idea.
they also then took
need to know,
they
though.
took some of the same figures and just put them in different sets, and they made these collector packs that are behind us here.
Okay, so gift sets.
They're
yeah.
the exact same figures, just in different packaging.
Yeah.
Oh, really? No repaints or anything like that?
No, they're all exactly the same.
Not a
They're
McFarlane?
just nope. They're all just well. I'll get to the McFarlane stuff in a second. They're all just the same figures, just in different combinations. There are two different versions of Willow. The first version came with the baby, but
Yes.
she was detachable and she was very tiny. And they realized
he has a little backpack that
with a tiny baby.
it just clips on his shoulders,
Yeah.
and then the little baby fits in there.
Yeah.
I used that baby with every toy line that I needed a baby for.
Yeah.
As a kid, forever.
Oh, I was
Just a
gonna
little
say, I was
snap-on.
gonna-
You were
let me
gonna
make
say-
another reference.
the toy line that shall not be named.
No, not Luke and Leia. Luke and Mara Jade had maybe that's
Look, the characters from the toy line that we can't mention
Jason-
had babies.
Jason Solo.
Yeah, Star Wars people had babies. Anybody that had a baby for any reason,
For any reason.
that was the only baby action
Yeah.
figure I ever
Well,
had.
you were lucky to get her because they got rid of her because she was a choking hazard.
That's crazy.
So the second, as you can see up there, the second one there came without the baby,
Like rocket firing Boba Fett.
which is like, why There's no baby. She's like literally the focus of the movie. Why is there no baby?
She's the MacGuffin.
She is. She's
So
like the main point.
They needed to just sculpt the new Willow that she was like permanently attached.
But
glue her in the
they
backpack.
They didn't do that. They didn't do that.
Well,
and then
because-
there was a third Willow release that was just a repaint of the original. That was a Nestle mail away.
Okay.
Because they
he
did
was a
mail
repaint,
aways.
though.
He was a repaint.
He's
he has
like a green
different-
tunic or something.
Yeah, he's green.
I actually saw him at a toy show one time and was confused whether it had like yellowed inside the baggie because it bright
he's blue and
like
red,
a greenish color, but it definitely is different. Like the sleeves are a different color and stuff. It's definitely not a faded thing, but that is interesting.
Yeah.
So that's like getting rid of Boba Fett's missile altogether.
Oh yeah, he just doesn't have his backpack is just
because
gone.
it was a choking hazard.
They just got rid
But
of it entirely.
it's like not packing a lightsaber with Darth Vader. It's so important to the character and to the
Totally.
story.
Yeah.
Maybe even more important
yeah,
than the lightsaber.
you're right. Boba Fett's missile wasn't important to the character.
It was just an advertised feature
Yeah.
that got
Right.
dropped, but
There are some figures that they never did in the line that didn't make a lot of sense, like some characters that were pretty important that were not represented. For the baby to be removed, it didn't make any sense. But I understand why they didn't retool the mold or whatever. They weren't making any money really on these toys. I mean, at the same time, in 1988, Who Framed Roger Rabbit came out, and Who Framed Roger Rabbit took over the merchandising market. Nobody was buying anything that didn't have a rabbit on it that year.
There's not much toys for Who Framed
There's
Roger
not many
Rabbit, though.
toys, but there's all kinds of market, like sticker
got more
packs
attention.
and all kinds of
I
stuff.
think the people who saw this movie, first of all, the toys are so underwhelming.
Yeah.
That the toy line's not going to take off. The packaging's nice.
The packaging, so I still have more toys to talk about, but let me stop and talk about the packaging for a second. The packaging is better than the toys. And there's not many toy lines that you can say that on, but I will confidently say that in this case. So the card art itself was done by Larry Elmore, which is a name you might recognize from D&D.
Mm-hmm.
They must have spent all their money on getting him to do the art and just didn't spend any money on the toys. The card art is absolutely gorgeous. And on the main villain, one of the main villains really is the monster Ybor Sisk behind me. Jeff Easley did that.
Okay.
So two heavy hitters, both D&D artists, heavy hitters did the art. So the card art is absolutely
That
phenomenal.
art is awesome.
It's absolutely beautiful. I hope you can get a close up of that. It's really great. They did the border by Larry Elmore, and then inside Jeff Easley did the dragon. And then the backs of the cards are really nice because you get a beautiful full color picture of the character, and then an entire description of them and what they're doing in the movie.
that's nice.
So it's not like the Dune action figures where you're like, who the hell is
What
this
is this? What's
person
about
and
this
why
guy?
are they here?
Why do I want to buy this toy?
You know, I'm getting an entire history about Sorsha and why she's important
There's
to the
some other
plot.
cool toy lines that have a lot of information about the characters on the backs of the cards.
Oh, really? Do they have like some kind of file card or something
I
on
don't
them?
want to. Really, can't really talk
Yeah, I
about the
don't-
toys right
I don't
now.
know
Yeah.
about that. But yeah, the card.
What did you say
art's
the dragon's
beautiful.
name was?
His name is Ybor Sisk.
Ybor Sisk.
Yeah, so they did. I'm getting ahead of myself. All these figures, all the single carded guys, the mail away figure, the Ybor Sisk monster, which in the movie is named Ybor Sisk because George Lucas didn't like Siskel and Ebert.
Right.
So the villain of his movie was going to be Ybor
two-headed
Sisk,
monster.
a two-headed monster, and it was supposed to represent Siskel and Ebert.
Did they get that at the time? Like, was that obvious to them?
I don't know.
Probably.
I'd like to go back and watch
I'd like
their
to see the
review
Willow
now.
review.
Yeah.
To see if they
I wonder if they even bothered reviewing it.
probably.
I'm sure they did.
Yeah, it was
I don't
it was a
know.
big
That was their
blockbuster.
job, is to talk
Yeah.
about all the blockbusters.
I'm not sure, but that's
I'd like to
funny.
see if they
Yeah.
reference that.
So the dragon itself is awesome. Of all the toys from the line, I think that the Ybor Sisk is definitely the coolest.
It's definitely the most.
It's
sought
articulated, right?
somewhat. You know, it's got
that
like
one's in a box, so
Yeah.
it like the head moves a little.
I mean, it's
got
better
two
than these
heads.
guys.
It actually has some kind of
playability.
articulation.
it's not as bad as the sandworm from Dune.
No,
Okay.
yeah. I was gonna say that it's not
that
as
was
good as some other
exclusive, right?
things. I don't think
Oh,
so.
no.
I don't believe so. The exclusives, there were 3 of them. I'm gonna reference my notes here so I don't forget.
One's a word I've never heard in my life.
Yeah, I don't even know how to pronounce it. I don't want to sound like an idiot. Mangonel. Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
Find my list here.
It's a Sears exclusive. It's called a mango.
There was a chase chariot, there was a catapult, and there was a mangonel, which is basically like a rocket launching thing that shoots
Must be a
rockets.
French like trebuchet.
Yeah,
Yeah,
something
it's
like
got to
that.
be like a French word. I have the chariot here and the figure it came with and the horses. I still need some accessories.
So that was one of the exclusives?
That
The
was,
chariot?
yeah. It had all kinds of bridles and things for the horses.
Okay.
I don't have any of that stuff because nobody bought these. And when they did buy them, as soon as they broke, they went in the trash.
And
So,
they did not come in packaging. They came in plain brown.
Oh, like a mailer?
yeah.
boxes.
And it just, there were 3 options on the side. Are you getting the mangonel? Are you getting the catapult? Are you getting the chariot? Check.
Called the Chase Chariot.
Chase chariot. Yeah, that's the one I have there. And I also have the figure
Do the
from
wheels
the
roll on it?
catapult. Yeah, it actually, I can't quite reach it. Normally it's up like this.
Right.
When it has the broad.
Okay,
end.
so it actually has rolling wheels.
Did they use the same molds for the horses? As the other? Yeah, I'm sure they use somewhat.
Well, I don't believe any of the other horses have all their feet on the floor. They're all up on those ridiculous stands. So I think that might be a new mold for the horse. It's the same horse twice. It's a repaint. So that figure is a repaint of another figure. And all of the Sears figures are repaints. So they did.
That's very common for exclusives.
Yeah,
to be a
it's very
repaint.
common for them to do that. What else? This was a mail away from Captain Crunch. Quaker Oats brings you the magic of Willow. You could mail away for your bowl and spoon to eat your cereal with.
Again,
Yeah.
Quaker Oats, is that... I wonder if that was General Mills, because General Mills
Yeah.
owned
Must have been.
Kenner,
Oh,
which
yeah.
is
1988,
why...
Quaker Oats Company, Lucasfilm, all rights reserved.
Which is why those, you could order
the Kellogg's
the
stuff.
Kellogg's,
Yeah.
the figures have with the Kellogg's thing
Yeah.
and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if Tonka was different and had nothing to do with General Mills and Quaker Oats wasn't that. I don't know. We should have looked into this.
That's a good point.
I
I
have
did
relationships
a
are
lot of
different.
research. There's not a lot to learn here.
Someone knows.
I had
Someone
some
knows.
Willow stickers as a kid that I'm pretty sure came in Velveeta cheese, the Kraft cheese.
That's totally believable. Yeah.
Sliced Velveeta? Or?
That's
you
Willow
get
yeah,
the brick of
the brick. And you shave
I just
it
think of
off.
Homer Simpson pounding slices of cheese.
You don't want to do that.
I
That's not
think
good
I'm
for
blind. He ate so many pieces of cheese.
you. That's never good. Yeah, so the toy line itself was not that great, but I do have some pieces that
There's
are kind of cool.
Before we move on, there's a lot of figures in the
There's
line, though.
so many figures.
That's what's impressive. Is
You have the list here, actually.
because the tooling was so low.
they were
per
able
figure,
to really
they could make a
really
ton of
bang them
figures.
out. And there's the guys on horses. So you have a decent selection of bad guys and good guys. You have all the main heroes. You have all the main villains. There's a few heroes they didn't do. They didn't do there's like a good witch. They didn't do her. Because in the movie she takes a lot of forms. Like she's an animal
Yeah,
and then
the
she becomes
morphing
like an
sequence that
older
was so
woman.
famous.
They were supposed to produce her for the second series, which was never made.
So this is all one single series.
This is all one single series, and there's
That's
actually
a hell of a lot of figures for a
There
it's a
is.
lot.
I mean, I have the entire collection here carded. There's a lot of figures here, and the variety was good. They don't all look exactly the same. There are some like generic guys. Even they are each a little different. So it's a good line as far as that goes. But quality versus quantity. Like I would rather have had 6 really good figures than 26.
Well, did you care? Did you have these as a kid?
I never had them as a kid.
All
No.
right. Would you have cared though about the articulated playability, or would you? Because your ponies weren't articulated.
No, but they had brushable hair and stuff like that. There's no
Right.
brushable hair. There's no actions here. The action here is, hey, I'm a baby.
Fall-
It's very much green plastic army men play pattern.
Yep.
Yeah.
You set them up and pose them, and
Which was not bad. I would have totally played with these if I'd had them as a kid because we actually had a lot of army men and
Yeah,
a lot of
I mean,
the alien figures.
I was into
stuff.
monsters in my pocket that had no articulation.
Yeah,
you know?
battle beasts. I mean,
Yeah.
the battle beasts have articulation,
some
though,
articulation.
and they do have weapons and stuff.
Dude, they feel like. I mean, it's metal, so it has a little bit of heft to
It's a
it.
metal base.
It's
with
a metal
plastic
base with
guy.
a plastic guy.
But honestly, it's like a McDonald's toy or like a cereal premium. To be honest, it's just not for what we're used to in 80s toys.
Yeah. They're very well painted upscale miniatures, in my opinion.
Yes. Yep.
And as a person who loves D&D as an adult, I appreciate them because they are so well painted and they are well made.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, feel that.
It's a cool line for people who are into fantasy and those kind of
Yeah.
fantasy movies.
I mean, like I said, I had Willow and I forget his name, but the evil knight with the skull mask.
Kale, General Kale.
General Kale, yeah. So I had those 2 figures as a kid. I played with them a
If
lot,
you
but
only could have 2, those are the 2 to
often
have.
used them with other toys.
What else is this scale?
Nothing really.
Yeah.
But I would use Willow with Star Wars stuff, and he can be some
Yeah.
weird Star Wars character.
Wicket out
Yeah.
of costume.
Right.
Shaved Wicket.
Kale I would use with other monster type toys.
Shaved Wicket? Did you
Shaved
just say
Wicket,
that?
yeah.
That's
So
I've
I would
seen
use
that on the
him
internet.
with
That's a drink.
Modulok and some Monsters in My Pockets and just whatever those weird bad guy type toys are I had, just throw them all together.
It is worth mentioning that Warwick Davis was Wicket in the original Star Wars, and the fact that he got his own movie is pretty cool because normally the guys in the masks don't get their own movie.
Right.
So it's really neat that he ended up with his own movie.
I think that George Lucas really took to Warwick Davis.
Yes.
He was an awesome little guy.
He seems like a great, funny person. Like, there is actually like some behind the scenes stuff of them shooting the new show.
Yeah.
And like he's walking around talking to the young people he's starting with, and they're acting like they don't know who he is. He's very funny.
He's
you can
funny.
tell he's a funny guy.
And he obviously, everyone on set when he was on Star Wars obviously loved him. Like,
yes, everybody fell in love
There's
with
a famous story about Mark Hamill going out and buying him every Star Wars figure that he didn't already own because he was a Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
He was
not
a little
only was he a
kid.
little person, he was a child little person.
Yeah, he was a kid.
He was young when they did
He was born in 1970, so he was only 7 or 8, 9.
Little
you
guy.
know,
Well,
yeah.
83, 81. So.
All right, so he's 10,
Yeah, he was
11.
like 11 or
yeah,
so.
but that's still an age to be playing with toys. So can you imagine loving Star Wars and being on set of a Star Wars film with Luke and Leia?
I love Pegwarmers and I'm here. Right?
It's exactly the same
It's
thing.
exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
When I think of Luke, I think of you.
Yes.
I never realized, and I realized this on the drive up here, that he pronounces his name not Warwick, it's spelled. He pronounces his name Warwick. And I realized that Wicket, being the only Ewok with a middle initial and last name.
You're making a face, but it's for kids.
Why does he have a middle initial and last name?
Because
second of all,
he's had exposure to humans and humanoids, and he needs to have a first, middle, and last name.
His last name
Captain
is Warwick,
Phasma, by the way.
Yeah.
The way Warwick Davis pronounces it.
Yeah.
And then there is another Ewok.
There is an
called
Ewok named
Warwick.
Warwick.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of W's there. He's also the lead in the Leprechaun films, which should not be dismissed.
Not no W. It wasn't.
It's not
Leprechaun.
Leprechaun.
The Leprechaun in that.
No.
And he went on to found two different companies or two branches of the same company, Willow Tall and Willow Small, where he specialized in finding acting jobs for extra tall and extra short people. Like
That's awesome.
Like helping.
That is really cool.
So if you're casting a movie and you're looking for somebody of a very
Differently
specific
sized
size,
Yeah.
he kind of specialized in getting those people gigs.
That
He
is
grew
so
up in it.
cool.
Like he-
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
he-
obviously there were little people before him. If you go look at
Billy Barty is probably
right,
one of
you know,
who was in this movie.
Wizard of Oz.
Who was in this movie?
Well,
yeah.
I think a lot of little people were in a lot of little people movies
Because of
Time
course you get
Bandits and-
typecast.
yes.
Yeah.
Well, or you need somebody to play a
Size
certain
cast,
role,
yeah.
especially when you're playing like fantastical. or-
Yes.
Before CGI, you needed those extreme body types,
right?
to do all these
I
different kinds of
kind of
movies.
dig now that you have Tyrion Lannister. What's his name? I would put us all on the spot.
Oh God.
But he's just
I know his name, and you're
he's-
killing me.
Him being a little person doesn't define his
Yes.
acting.
Peter Dinklage.
Peter Dinklage could play anything,
Right.
And if you can get past the fact that he's just differently sized,
Right.
He's a fantastic actor
For sure.
and hopefully they're getting to that point where you can give a part to somebody like that.
The world is becoming more and more inclusive,
Yeah.
and I think that
I
that's
didn't mean to
not.
get on that tangent,
well, no,
but-
it's good. It's good. It's good that you did because one of the things I love about this movie is that even though there's not a woman as the main character, there's the main bad guy is a woman, and the person who saves everybody
Saoirse.
or who is going to save everybody is a woman.
I love you, Saoirse.
And Saoirse is. I had goals. Saoirse has goals for me as a kid.
You know that Val Kilmer married his
Joanna
love interest
Wiley,
in
yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I love that it being more inclusive is part of Willow for me anyway, which is kind of silly to say out loud, but
The magic lies within, Penelope.
well, that's another thing. The whole point of the movie is that you are the magic. So the fact that as a little girl, I'm seeing bad ladies and good ladies doing things and the magic is in me, it was like
What did
affirmative.
he say? Alakazam. Pulakatando.
I don't remember the words. And then a pig appears.
Yeah, but he had words.
So
he said.
good. Of course he had magic words. You're putting me on the spot.
Shaved wicket.
I don't remember them.
I'm going to invent a drink called a shaved wicket.
So I do have I'm missing one of the sets. I think one of the evil sets I'm
Okay, that's
missing.
another gift set.
There is another gift that I
you
don't
can see
have.
the yellow background is the good guys.
Yeah.
Red background's the bad guys. I think
I'm missing
we
evil-
are missing
I am
Evil Collector Set 2.
2, I think.
We.
But it's the same figures, just in different configurations and put up there. And I am missing some Sears stuff. But what I lack in my collection, I have made up for. I do have some pre-production prototype stuff.
That's very cool.
That came from a gentleman who worked at Tonka as a designer from 1970s to the 90s.
Is this unreleased?
So I do have one piece that's
Can we
unreleased.
call him and ask him why these are terrible?
He passed away, so no. The answer is no. We cannot.
Terrible's not the word.
Terrible's not the word.
Missing the mark.
They're underwhelming.
Yes.
They, for what they are, if they had been marketed, like if there was a board game that went with these or something, or some kind of like play, there was supposed to be a castle
Or
produced.
probably 20 years earlier.
Yes.
Yeah.
This would have been fine because there are people that collect those British soldiers. And
totally.
Even as a kid, a friend of mine had like a little plastic castle and I had a bunch of these kind of knights and stuff. And we played with it some, but it was never our favorite thing.
But this wasn't a film production company that didn't understand the
market.
Yeah,
Right.
they knew
with
what was
LJN
up.
and Dune and all that stuff, you can miss the mark a little bit and not put any information on the card.
If this was the toy line to Ralph Bakši's Lord of the Rings, I would go, yeah, it makes sense.
Totally. But this wasn't.
Right.
Dude, you
This
hit the nail on the head.
is Lucasfilm.
If this was Bakshi, Lord of the Rings,
Biggest toy line.
Dude, the Bakshi Lord of the Rings figures are better than these.
Yes.
Oh.
By a long shot.
They're worth a lot of money.
Plus, they're just better. But I have
They're
to say,
articulated figures.
the card
Yes.
art's not as good. I do love the card art on the Willow figures.
I just looked at the card back on this because we were talking about Dune before, and we said about how they have like a description, but it doesn't tell you anything. I don't know what a Fremen is. These guys are very much like Masters of the Universe, where underneath of them it tells you something. So it says Willow, protector. Okay, it doesn't tell me a lot, but here
He's hugging a baby. He's protecting the baby. I
That's
get
true.
that.
I'm hugging a baby.
Stop with the accents. You promised no accents.
Sorsha, warrior princess. Okay, that tells me what she is, right? When we have a wise man, we have a heroic soldier, we have a rebel commander. Like,
Yeah.
it's good to
Rebel Commander.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Carry that over.
Yeah.
It's good though that if you haven't seen the movie yet, you can understand what this figure is.
Yeah.
Just by looking at it.
Yeah, totally. If you know nothing about, if I were a little kid who had never seen Willow and I saw this in a store,
I would have bought a Star Wars figure instead.
The card art would have drawn me in for sure, and the descriptions on the back.
Yeah, I'm going to stop being a dick. The card art would have drawn me in because I love sword and sorcery
Yes,
and stuff like
totally.
that. So I would have looked at these.
Yeah.
And then saw there was no articulation,
Yeah.
not being a dick.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, unless you love the movie.
Which I do.
Because some things, you don't have to love Star Wars to think the toys are cool.
Right.
No.
So I think like with the Willow figure being unarticulated, you can kind of get away with it. He's a small enough character. You're not really looking to get him in a ton of action poses because he's already holding his wand.
Yeah.
It's playable.
Mad
but
Mardigan.
When you get to
Mad
Mad
Mardigan needs a sword.
General Kale,
Yeah.
so you can't have them
Eric.
sword fight really.
LJN Dungeons and Dragons is a perfect example of what this could have been.
Yeah.
Because you can have Willow as a small PVC.
Right.
Right. You can have a few monsters as small, the devil
Yep.
dogs.
Right.
Demon dogs.
Yeah.
But then once you get to the action people, they should have been just like with
Action
D&D. They
people.
did articulated figures.
I totally agree.
And even if it was
1000%.
just Star Wars 5 POA,
Yeah.
that would
That's
have been
all it needed
fine.
to
Would
be.
have been fine.
Right.
Yeah. But enough complaining about this toy line. Let's talk about what's awesome. I do have up there in the front, if you guys can see that, it is a hard copy prototype of an unproduced figure. It was supposed to be from presumably the second series or a continuation of the first series. They call it an Eric prototype. It does not look anything like Eric, so I think it was actually supposed to be like a rebel, one of the rebel soldiers or rebel troopers.
Yeah, but prototypes don't always look like. what
Yeah,
they end
it
up
just
being.
doesn't, like, if you
Was
look
he
at-
supposed to be on a horse?
Yes, he is supposed to be on a horse. There was obviously not a unproduced horse to go along with him. I just have the figure. He's cool and interesting because he has a spear instead of a sword. The character of Eric didn't really use a spear in the movie, so I think it's supposed to be a rebel trooper. Because Eric has a lot of hair and his helmet is actually open and you can see his face, whereas that figure you cannot. So I think it's really meant to be a rebel trooper. But it is a hard copy prototype. There's only a handful of these known to exist that are not broken. So I'm happy to have been able to add that to my collection because it's just really cool and weird.
Is that like a resin cast? Then?
It's like a hard resin. So what's interesting about these is that they're slightly larger than the actual toys to allow for shrinkage. Because apparently when you pour, you're laughing.
It
Apparently
was cold.
Apparently when you pour this plastic, as it hardens, it shrinks.
Okay.
So that's a different type of plastic. So it didn't shrink when it hardened. So it's slightly larger. And I noticed that when I got it, I thought that was a little strange, but it's meant to be slightly, it's only 8% bigger or something like that.
Probably makes it easier to get them out of the mold if they shrink just a little bit.
This was probably made in a negative silicone mold, it's called.
Okay.
Which is just the style of the pouring. And then the mold
into
is.
the minutia of
Yeah.
toy
Listen,
making.
I'm a toy person. I did a little bit of research for this.
The toy sculptor, you did it.
Yeah, we get Paul in here to take a look at it.
Yeah, he told you all kinds of stuff about it.
Yeah, that's a urethane resin as opposed
Okay.
to like the PVC stuff that the toy
They
would
usually
actually
start
be
out
made
as
of.
wax sculpts, right?
Yeah, usually wax and then
So the
mold from that.
where I got this, they did have some wax sculpts, but that scares me because
scary.
what if it gets? We live near the shore. What if it gets super warm? I would be too afraid. But there was an unproduced, the Finn Rizal character, who's the good wizard.
Yeah.
She was never produced. She would have been produced. They also had that. They had a queen, the evil queen's throne playset, which was never produced.
That's cool.
There was supposed to be a castle, but that never even made it to the pre-production stages. I do also have these two little guys. These are called Final Engineering Pilots. Take a good look at that. It's kind
That
of
sounds
neat.
like it should be from Dune.
It does. These are cast in the actual plastic that was used to actually make the toy. They're hand painted though in the model shop.
Okay.
And the idea was that you could just see what the big wigs at Tonka could see what the finished product was going to look like. Like this is what you're getting.
These are the kind of things that then they come back and they sign off. Yep, this is what we want produced,
Yeah,
yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
It's
I
like
don't
the last
remember
stage.
you buying these.
Justin, I have something to tell you.
When did these come around?
Pre-pandemic. I don't mind name dropping a little bit. So there's you guys have probably heard of Wheeljack's Lab.
Okay.
They're all over the internet.
Yeah, he's a big eBay seller.
Yes. We got these.
I say he, I don't know him.
We.
All of a sudden it's
All of a
Wade.
sudden it's away because I spent money.
Everything else is
We
her.
got these they got a massive collection from this gentleman who worked at Tonka, his family, because he had passed away by that point. But he even had like the chariot here. They had a wooden mock-up.
Oh, wow.
They had all
So shout
kinds
out
of
to
stuff.
Wheeljack's Lab.
Yeah.
You might want to share the episode or something there, Jack.
But these
What's his
pieces,
Wheeljack.
Mr. Wheel.
name?
Jack. His name is Jack.
It's named after a Transformer, just so you know. His name is
Really?
not
I didn't know.
Wheeljack.
It's not named after the toy line
Maybe
we
that's what they
can't
used to
talk
call him in
about.
high school. I don't know.
So what I have here is I have that guy up there, which again, it's called an Eric, but it's got to be just a Rebel Trooper. And I have a Queen Bev Morta, and I also have Saoirse,
I did
her
not
daughter.
know you had a whole handful of these.
You did. You just
I did
forgot.
not.
You didn't like this movie so much, you tried to block it from your brain that I had purchased these.
No. It's not that I don't like the movie. It has everything I like. It's swords and magic and long hair.
To me, I
It's
think
just-
it's not Star Wars, and
I
that's
wasn't
fine.
the right age when it came
I
out.
was
I
the
could
perfect
see that
age.
being a thing.
I was the perfect age for this movie when it came out. I was just like I was the perfect age for Ewoks when they came out, and I love Ewoks. This to me, this movie Willow is like the perfect idealized version of like Caravan of Courage. Like the Ewok movies could have been this, and this is like the elevated version of that Ewok kind of movie.
So Wilford Brimley should have been in this.
Well, there was kind of a Wilford Brimley. Billy Barty was the Wilford Brimley of this movie.
I think one of the hardest things with something like Willow is it's like a kid's movie, but in a world that needs a lot of explaining, and to balance the dialogue and information with the action is a tough balance. And I totally get what you're saying, because it has these great magical scenes and these great fight scenes, and then it also has a lot of like, let's explain this whole world to you.
Yeah.
And it maybe they just missed the mark on balancing those two things a little bit.
Maybe I just have rose-colored glasses, but I didn't feel like there was too much exposition. There's a bad guy lady, maybe in the beginning with like the baby and all that stuff, but then there's like the Moses moment where the baby's in the water, and then from there it's just like, okay,
I've tried to give it a second shot. It's just a yawn fest for me.
I love it.
It's very slapsticky too in
getting
parts.
rid-
Like the
The
little
brownies,
tiny brownies.
the brownies
are,
are
like, cool.
really, the brownies
yeah,
are
that
annoying.
annoys me, right?
The brownies are annoying.
I think
They're meant to be annoying.
You have to be at just the right age to find that funny.
I was just past that age, I think.
The brownies annoyed me even when I was
They're
9.
very Jar Jar Binks, like just.
You
But
could
thank
see where
God they
George
dial
was
it
going.
back.
Yeah.
They dialed it back slightly.
You could see where George was heading.
But what I do love about the movie, again, I can't stress this enough. Everybody has long hair, which I absolutely adore.
Yeah.
The best fantasy mullet of all time is Eric's hair in that movie.
See, I can't remember Eric at all.
He's right there, literally right in front of you.
AIRK or something?
AIRK, which I think is the coolest spelling ever. He's just got this. The actor is fantastic. He just has this huge mane of red hair that's just a mullet with this giant beard. He's great.
Dorman Giantsbane's
It's not,
son?
but they're very reminiscent.
I do love your mullet.
Listen, there's trolls, there's dragons, there's good guys, there's bad guys.
There ain't no good guys.
As a kid, I love this movie, and I still love it as an adult. And it holds up. It's not terrible. It's not Ator.
Oh no, it's not a terrible movie. I just don't. I wish I liked it more. That's a good way to put it.
There you go.
I wish I liked it more. I wish I liked it as much as you like it.
I like it a lot. I was the perfect age for Willow.
Yeah, I was. It's not Conan.
Well, no, it has Conan. Listen, there's demon dogs in it. That's Conan-like.
They weren't demons. They were just warrior dogs.
Well, they're like bad dog guys.
The demon dogs in this movie scared the crap out of me as a
Did
kid.
they?
Death dogs, I think
So
they're
I
called.
never had like a dog as a kid. And I had a couple of like incidences where I got like knocked down by other people's dogs when I was really little.
See?
And it always just kind of
Same.
made me very hesitant of dogs as a kid.
Yep.
And so then to have like these actual like snarling dogs in this movie, I was like terrified of them. That was the scariest part of this movie to me. Was the
Maybe
dogs.
that's why I'm not a dog person as an adult, because I knew the dog, demon
You're making me
dogs,
really hate
death
Willow.
dogs. Did I touch on everything?
Well,
I got
there's a
coloring
board
books.
game.
There is a board game which was designed before the movie came out, and the people who designed it admitted to never having seen the movie.
That happens a lot with stuff.
It's on my list. I do own it, and it's on my list to play. Maybe we'll play that next time.
Even with the toys, a lot of times, it's like, here's some photos, here's a script. And so things get made that get cut. Like, there's a lot of that kind of stuff.
There's a
merchandise.
lunchbox which is buried somewhere in storage, and I could not find it.
What's on the front? Is it just the movie
So
poster?
it's not even that good. It's the one that I have, at least. It's just a plain red lunchbox with a very boring like white back with like red swords, just like animated swords. And it's just a cartoon of Willow standing there and a cartoon of Mad Mardigan standing next to him, and they're just smiling, and that's it.
They're smiling.
Yeah.
That's some pretty detailed.
Yeah,
There's a
man.
lot going on there.
Please, can we appreciate that? That's basically the Kurgan there fighting a long-haired warrior man.
Yeah, that's
like
cool.
that is it's fantastic.
Another thing I want to say, production-wise, the movie was great.
It had all of the drama of Excalibur with all of the fight
John
scenes.
Borman.
Please, it had all the fight scenes, had all the drama of Excalibur
Yes, Mom, can I color in Willow turning someone into a goat?
mixed in
Going to
with
turn you
all the
into a goat.
fun of Ewoks, the Caravan of Courage.
My name is
You heard it-
Willow,
you heard it
Wicked
here
W.
first.
Everything
You heard it
is
here
a W,
first.
Leprechaun.
There you
No.
go.
Now you're just
Willow with
you're
the
doing that
baby
thing
and the
again.
brownies.
Just
There's
pooping
a
on
stick.
things.
Gosh.
There's his Harry Potter wand.
That's Finn Rizal's wand. Thank you very much.
He was in Harry Potter movies.
He was.
Wand.
Yeah.
He actually.
Listen, Warwick Davis, bless you, he was a little bit typecast. He's the leprechaun, he's the goblin, he's, the
What was he in
little
Harry Potter?
warrior.
Was he
he was a lot
He's
of
like
things.
3 characters. One
Yeah.
of the
at the
professors.
wand shop.
No, I don't believe he was one of the wand people.
He was at the bank.
He was one of the Gringotts
Yeah.
guys. He played one of the teachers as well.
Yeah.
I forget the name.
You said that the bowl and spoon were mailways.
Yeah, so the bowl and spoon were mail-aways from Quaker Oats.
Okay.
And you could get them in boxes of Captain Crunch. And then the Nestle mail-away up there was, you'll notice, no General Mills. Because as you said
The
before,
spoon actually has Willow printed on it.
Yeah, it's a really cool spoon.
With the General Mills man. I guess
the
it's
Quaker Oats
Quaker Oats
guy,
guy?
Quaker Oats guy. Oh, is he a Quaker?
Yeah, he's a Quaker.
he's a Quaker. That's why he's wearing the hat.
He looks like he burned witches at some
That's
point.
not General Mills. Like, he's not wearing like a military hat. That's
Is General
Yeah.
Mills
General
a
Mills a
military
general?
guy?
You just threw a loop.
Okay, we need the Quaker Oats guy, General Mills, and Chef Boyardee here now.
Yeah,
to
we need-
fight. We need them to
we
fight
need to
right
understand
now.
their backstories.
Yeah, I love the Willow logo too. I eat out of that, just so you know.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Quaker brings you the magic of Willow, and it's just like a cartoon
It's poor
versions of all
Willow
the bad
looking
guys.
scared with the witch doing this in his face.
Bavmorda.
Bavmorda.
Dude, what a cool name.
It is a great
So
great
Jean
name.
Marsh is amazing. She actually co-created Upstairs Downstairs, the PBS show that was very famous for
Well,
a long
that
time.
turned into Downton Abbey, kind of.
It's similar
Downton Abbey
idea, yeah.
it took its.
Yeah,
Man, we want to talk about going on a left turn.
Just screech off on the side.
I can't read the bottom of
And
it.
there's a hat back there. There's a promo mail-away hat back there
is that
somewhere
a
too.
mail-away item?
Yeah, I forget from who. It may have just been a promo hat. I might be talking out of my butt there.
Whirly Industries.
Are you just reading the COO
Well,
on
there's
that?
more W's.
There's no more W's.
Yeah, please read it. There's a lot of W's in that.
Oh my God, you're kidding me.
Nope.
Whirly Industries Incorporated, Warren, PA. We're not that far from Warren, PA,
All kinds
right?
of W's going on in
So
there.
many W's. I need to wash this.
Yeah.
All right. Did I talk about everything?
Do you feel like you've
I think
covered
so. Yeah, I didn't name everybody by name, but that's fine. You guys get the gist.
This is a complete Willow collection.
If you have never seen Willow, it is worth the watch. Despite what my husband thinks, it's certainly worth the watch, especially if you really like sword and sorcery.
Tell us in the comments.
Have you seen Willow and did you like
What you
it? Let us
think
know.
about Willow.
Yeah.
And what's better, the movie or the toys? That's an easy one.
The card art. Shout out to my friend Larry Elmore.
Kevin's just laughing at us at this point.
All right.
All right, guys. Thanks for hanging on the peg with us. Make sure you check out Farpoint Toys on social media and their YouTube channel as well.
I have so many things I want to talk about. I'm like gonna get off track here.
This is the case of a game that was far more popular in Japan than it was in the United States.
They never went to Mordor. What are you talking about?
This is kind of weird.
But there's real detail. There's like wiring underneath.
You know, they're
sold
one and done. That's
Yeah,
it. Sold
yeah.
out. So they're super hard to come by.
You heard him, guys. Bring it back. Here
Oh,
we go again. Round two.